Buongiorno. Today we're going to talk about The Sopranos season 1. So let's just get right into it. Season 1, episode 1, called The Sopranos. So I'm going to read the synopsis off of Wikipedia. It says, New Jersey, summer 1998. New Jersey mobster Tony Soprano, a capo in the DeMille crime family, has been referred to psychiatrist Dr. Jennifer Melfi after having a panic attack. Tony tells her that he is a waste management consultant, but she knows who he is. After Melfi establishes what will and will not fall under doctor-patient confidentiality, Tony begins to partly open up. So that's when she was like, listen, I just want you to know that in case you're going to tell me if someone's going to get killed or something like that's going to happen, something super violent, I'm going to have to tell the cops, just so you know, just so we're clear. That's when she did that. He has recently been dealing with tensions between his wife Carmela and teenage daughter Meadow, as well as trying to keep Christopher Moltisanti, whom he calls his nephew, in check. Tony's uncle, known as Uncle Junior, resents Tony's rise in the crime family and his own decline. Tony also has a strained relationship with his widowed mother, Livia, who is resisting his advice to move into a retirement home. A confrontation with his mother triggers another panic attack, and he returns to Melfi. He tells her about a family of ducks that were living in his swimming pool, but left when the ducklings fledged. Guided by Melfi, Tony realizes he is sad to see them go because he dreads losing his own family. To his consternation, this makes him cry. You remember that? I thought that was really interesting, because he was so excited about those ducks. We see that, I don't think it's in this episode, but later on when he talks about it again. He's excited about how all these ducks landed there in his pool. Don't you think that's so interesting? He sees these ducks as wild creatures. He's all like, but they picked me. They picked my backyard. Like he probably felt like maybe he was safe to them, right? So that's why later on it's like they're relating it to his family. But anyway, let's keep going. When a Czech-American criminal organization bids against Tony for a waste management contract, Christopher acts on his own initiative and kills one of the Czechs, Emil Kolar. The Czechs withdraw their bid. Junior wants to kill turncoat Little Pussy Malanga in a restaurant he frequents, owned by Tony's lifelong friend Artie Bucco. Thinking the murder would ruin the restaurant's reputation, Tony asks Junior not to do it there, but he refuses. Tony tries to get Artie to close the restaurant for 3 weeks by giving him cruise tickets, but his wife Charmaine refuses them. Finally, Tony has his right-hand man Silvio Dante bomb the restaurant. Artie's reputation will not be damaged, and he will be able to claim insurance compensation. Which was, what is Tony supposed to do, right? When you put yourself in those shoes, that's your childhood friend, and you don't want him to not make a living. Like, that's your friend. You don't want to see your friend decline and you feel like you could have done something about it. Or to have that information of Uncle Junior's gonna, try to, get rid of Little Pussy in the restaurant. I'm trying to say that with a straight face, but when he's gonna do that, I feel like that's also a diss to be like, you know what, Tony? I don't give a shit if that's your childhood friend, bro. But he says he does it because that's the only place that Little Pussy feels comfortable, that he lets his guard down. Is that really more important than, like, Artie not being able to, like, make a living afterwards? Because that's what I was talking to Sal about. I was like, well, if I heard some dude got murdered in a restaurant, I'm not going to want to go. I'm going to be like, well, some dude got murdered there. That's kind of strange, man. It makes you kind of wonder what type of stuff is going on around there. Makes you wonder what's going on in there, what type of people meet in there, Not that everyone doesn't know already, right? But, yeah. I don't know. And then Tony's like, well, how are we going to fix this? Artie, go away. Go away for a while. Enjoy your life. I'll give you money to go away. And his wife is like, let's not touch the money. Let's not touch the money. Charmaine's like, let's not touch the money. And they don't go on vacation. And Tony is really trying to help his friend, right? Because what other reason would he do it for? If Artie wasn't his friend, he would have let that restaurant go, right? He would have been like, well, whatever. Junior wants to do that. That's his business, right? But anyway, let's keep going. Let's see. Mahaffey, whom Tony calls a degenerate gambler, is in debt to Tony and Hesh Rapkin, an old Jewish friend of Tony's father. Tony, driving, runs Mahaffey down, breaking his leg. He then concocts a scheme for Mahaffey's company to make insurance claims payable to non-existent clinics in order to pay off his debts, and he is forced to comply. At Tony's son's birthday party, Christopher, bitter about not receiving recognition for killing Kolar, tells Tony he is thinking of turning his life story into a Hollywood script, which Tony angrily forbids. Driving Livia to the party, an embittered Junior says something may have to be done about Tony. Livia silently looks the other way with a hint of a smile. Okay. Let's go. Next episode. Okay. Episode 2 is called 46 Long. So, let's go synopsis. Carmela feels sorry for AJ's science teacher whose car has been stolen and persuades Tony to help. Tony tells Pussy, who runs an auto repair shop, to look out for the vehicle, a task Pussy resents. The thieves are found, but the car has been chopped, so they are told to steal another one. The teacher is surprised when his car is returned with the same plates but different keys in a different color. I remember that. Christopher, I don't even think the paint was dry yet. Christopher and Brendan Filone, who has a meth habit, hijack a shipment of DVD players. They deliver the goods to Tony, Silvio, and Polly at Silvio's strip club, the Bada Bing. However, the truck company pays protection money to Junior, who angrily arranges a sit-down with Tony and the DeMeo family's acting boss, Jackie April Sr., who has cancer and is thinking of naming a successor. He rules that restitution must be made, which Tony accepts, but Christopher, who thinks he is due his button, attempts to reject the $15,000 that Junior claims. Tony insists on receiving the full amount, saying he will beat Junior down, but Christopher is aware that Tony will take some for himself, and little will be left for him and Brendan. Although they had been told not to attack the trunk company again, Brendan and Christopher, both high on cocaine, plan to hijack a shipment of Italian suits. However, when Brendan arrives to pick up his partner, Christopher, stunned and reflective, decides to sit the job out. Brendan proceeds with the hijacking along with 2 inexperienced associates. One of them drops his gun, which fires when it hits the ground, killing the driver. When Tony learns of this, he orders Christopher and Brendan to return the whole consignment to Junior and come to terms with him, though first his crew help themselves to a few of the suits. A small fire occurs when Olivia is cooking. Tony insists that she accept a live-in nurse, but Olivia soon enrages her and she walks out. While driving, Livia forgets to shift her car into reverse and badly injures a friend of hers to whom she had just given a lift. Livia is forced to move into the Green Grove retirement community. In her house, while collecting photos of himself as a child with his parents, Tony nearly has another panic attack. Although Tony himself tells his mother, "You've got to stop with this black poison cloud because I can't take it anymore," he cannot bear hard words about her from Dr. Melfi. Tony speaks to her of his guilt. She says that he must either acknowledge or displace his feelings of hatred and anger against his mother. He walks out. In the Bada Bing, when Georgie Santorelli, the bartender, clumsily uses a telephone in a manner similar to Livia, Tony grabs a handset and bashes him with it. Don't you think that's so insane? That the thing that Georgie is doing, which is like being incompetent with a phone, reminds him of his mom, and reminds him of the talk he just had with Melfi. And he just kind of proves that, yeah, he does have some resentment towards his mother. What? Okay. Let me just go into my notes. I'll go through my notes real quick. I think maybe that'll be better. Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and freestyle this. You know what I loved about The Sopranos season one? I absolutely loved how complex Tony Soprano's character is. I love the defense mechanisms that he's built around himself. Like, he's always cracking jokes for like everything at any fucking given moment, you know? I love that him and Carmela are married and she knows what's going on and she still kind of looks at this whole thing with the gumas, like she looks at it in an understanding way. When she talks to Father Phil, who I don't even want to talk about him because he's so strange. He's so weird. Like, I would never want to hang out with a priest like that, right? Is he a priest? I don't know. But yeah, like the fact that she tells Father Phil, you know, I know about the gumas and everything, but if anything, they were helping me out because I cannot quench his carnal desires. I cannot be there for him 24/7, you know? But at the same time, it's like you have to look at it as like, that's too much. Plus, it's like, what disrespect to his wife, you know? It's very intense. It's a very intense show that it's like you and I could be like, you know what, Tony Soprano is such a piece of shit because he cheated on his wife and he has a mistress and blah blah blah. And most of those guys had gumas, right? But that's his wife and she accepts it and she knows about it. She's aware of it. She accepts it. She kind of welcomes it a little bit. But at the same time, she's having this sort of emotional affair with Father Phil. And Father Phil is like taking her food. She said it in one of the episodes that I think it's in, okay, I think that might be too far. No, it is season one. When he starts hanging out with the widow, one of Carmela's friends, I can't remember her name right now, but when he starts hanging out with her, he takes her husband's watch, right? It's Jackie's wife, right? Isn't it Jackie's wife? Yeah. She takes Jackie's watch from her. She offers it to him, but he takes it. And I'm like, no, you can say no, Father Phil. You can say no, bro. Food, you can say no. I don't understand. Like, there's no way he's that naive. And the fact that he expressed his feelings towards Carmela and is like staying in her home with her by themselves, come on. Where are your morals, Father Phil? But, I mean, at least with Tony, what you see is what you get, right? What you see is what you get. And he's just trying to play so many parts at the same time. Who knows if he's good at any of them? Is he? I don't know. But it's just interesting to see. He's complex. And then when he thinks he's in love with Dr. Melfi, that was kind of harsh to watch, you know? Because in my head, I was like, no, man, like, you're confused. Like, you've just never had a female talk to you and ask you these questions and have you open up. That's why it's like you don't really have any feelings towards anyone, I guess. With him and Carmela during the first season, it's not too apparent until the end when Carmela's like, you know what? I am mad that you didn't tell me that you had a female psychiatrist. But you know what? I am jealous. Like, I'm jealous because I'm your wife. We've been married for all these years, and I wish I could help you with this stuff or with anything, and I can't. And it hurts to admit it, but you know, as long as nothing's going on, like I'm sorry I overreacted maybe, but you know, I just want you to understand that I want to be there for you, even after everything that she knows that he's done, you know? And I think that's so beautiful because that's what a marriage is, right? For some people, it's not for some, but I think this is a different situation. You have to look at it from all angles, you know? Like, yeah, she has all this money and she has everything. It just reminds me of that song. What is it? Runaway by Kanye West. You know that Pusha T part when he goes, oh, what does he say? What does he say? He goes, 24/7, 365, pussy stays on my mind. I got it. No, wait, he says something else. You pick your next move. You either leave or live with it. Ichabod Cranes with the motherfucking top off. Something, something, back to wearing knockoffs, ha, knock it off. What does he say? Shop it off, something, something. I don't know. Anyway, he's talking about how the lifestyle comes with a price tag, right? And that's why I think it's so interesting when later on she talks to Father Phil and she's like, I knew about the life and I just wanted, the money and I wanted the things and I kind of sold out to have these things because I knew what was coming for me in this marriage. I knew what I was to expect. And yeah, I mean, she said she knew from the beginning. The fact that Charmaine was like, I knew I didn't want that position that you're in. Okay? I knew I didn't want that. So that's why I didn't stay with Tony. I only slept with him that one time. Which, by the way, why did she even do that? Because for me, when I saw her go like this, when I saw Carmela go like this to the maid, I was like, okay. When I saw her do it to Charmaine, I was like, okay, wait, hold on, Charmaine. Have you hung out with her enough to make sure that she doesn't do that to everyone? Like she never goes to a restaurant or whatever and calls to Tony or Meadow or AJ. Does she ever go like, hey, AJ, hey, Tony? Like, wasn't that already in her head? She already has it in her head. She doesn't like Carmela. She doesn't. And this is, this is season 1. Okay. Season 1. Charmaine does know that Tony had something to do with Artie's restaurant going down, though. So, I mean, women's intuition? Or is it like just that obvious to everyone except for Artie? Because Artie knows Tony Soprano since they were kids. Going back to that, Is it hard to look at someone that you've grown up with and kind of just really accept that maybe they did do something to hurt your restaurant? But to you, it's like to hurt your restaurant. He also doesn't know what's going on with Junior. Because when Livia tells Artie that Tony had something to do with his restaurant, just like, being burned down, she doesn't know the reason. She's just talking, like, not out of her ass because she knows that it happened, right? But she's just like releasing all this information that she's just like a vessel that holds something for like a little bit of time and then just releases it to the next person. But she's another story, that Livia. Oof. Let's humanize her. She's kind of always been that way her whole life, right? We see that from when they're going back and Tony's having memories of when he was a kid and she says she's going to stick something in his eye, like a pitchfork or something, she's going to stick it in his eye. I don't know. One of those things for weenies, or what is it? But anyway, like she's a hard ass, right? But I think it's kind of unfair if we just go, she's kind of a bitch, like she's just a bitch. She is a bitch, but that's kind of that generation too. Am I right? Am I right? I am right. Because I've seen it. I've seen so many people around that age that are just so used to being like that, and then they just don't change their ways. And it's just at that point, maybe even a little bit, they feel like it's impossible to change that. Yeah, so I just think that's very interesting because her and Junior are kind of the same. Junior is like for sure a narcissist, The fact that he wants that title just because he feels that he deserves it because he's older. Do you think he's the best candidate to lead the crime family? Because I don't think so. The fact that he's going to Livia and asking for her opinions and using her as like a messenger too. The fact that he's taking her advice for what they should do with Brendan. The fact that like she's the one that gets him to tax Hesh, like, which was bound to happen, as they said, and they accepted it, which I think is, you know, good, I guess. Interesting. I don't even know, but I think that he definitely is not fit to be king, you know, and everyone knows that. So I think for Tony to get upset at first and be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy, you know? And then once he talks to Melfi, and Melfi's like, you know, you should just allow him to have the position. But of course, you just let him think he has power. Let him be there. And Tony ends up thinking about it and he thinks it is a better idea because even if he does that, it's better because he has no one on his ass immediately, you know? Like he doesn't have cops on his ass like he would if he was the top guy. So he found the good in it. Which I think is so interesting. Now we can talk about Christopher and how he's so upset that, you know, Brendan is dead and everything, but he's so upset that he doesn't get mentioned during the FBI indictments and everything on the news. And he's so upset. And I'm like, young blood, you're so little, you know? Like you could tell the mentality is so different. Which yeah, for Tony, he did want to be boss, you know, but he kind of was like, okay, look, but there's a positive to it. Everyone knows really I'm in charge. So he thought about it and he was like, all right. But with Christopher, it's like he wants that notoriety for himself. He wants his name in the newspaper because as soon as that happened, he went and he got like the whole stack. Like it means something to him. That is what he's trying to be. He's trying to be in this business. So now the big guy is trying to not hide, but he's trying to protect himself. And then Christopher wants to be out there. He wants everyone to know that he's a made man. You know, he wants everyone to know that he's rolling with Tony Soprano and he's gonna be a made man later on, you know? So I think that's very interesting. It's really cool seeing like the different generations and how they handle shit. Junior being the narcissist that he is and not really knowing what he's doing, just wanting the title of it, even ends up going to jail. And when they tell him, hey man, we know you're not really in charge. If you just tell us it's Tony Soprano, we'll give you a lesser sentence, you know? And he doesn't do it. Even though he wanted Tony dead not too long before that. Which is so interesting. And I'm going to keep saying that because this show is so interesting to me. But yeah. I think that's it. Oh, I do want to talk about AJ. That one episode where he's getting bullied, or not bullied, but he's messing with this kid that used to be his friend. Which I want to know what happened there. They used to be friends and all of a sudden they're not. But anyway, the fact that Tony cannot... the fact that everyone knows who Tony is and AJ can't even just grow up and be like a regular kid. Like he can't pay his dues. Isn't that what boys want to do? They want to get in fights. They want to get it out. And he can't even get in a fight and just... And I'm not saying like the whole boys will be boys things, but we do have to remember that boys do like to tumble and, you know, that's how they accept each other afterwards. It's just like a thing. I'm sorry. But yeah, like the fact that AJ can't even get in this fight without being like, hey man, I know who your dad is, I'm not even gonna fuck with you. Like he cannot prove himself. You know, he can't just be one of the boys. Which is like, let's talk about Meadow now. Meadow and Hunter. Don't you think that's kind of weird too? It's like very natural names, like Nature, Meadow, and Hunter. Is a hunter natural? I don't know, whatever. Obviously not in this show though, because that bitch is on speed. And she is not a good influence. I'm sorry. I'm saying that as a mother too. Like, she's not a good influence. Um, yeah. Or Christopher, you know, when Christopher gives Meadow and Hunter speed because Adriana's like, you know what, dude, you better just give it to them. Or else they're gonna get some off the street and you never know what's in that stuff. So then finally he does it, and then later on when Junior ends up sending someone to scare Christopher, um, that's already in the back of Christopher's mind. He's like, Tony Soprano's gonna find out. Tony Soprano found out. Oh my god, Tony found out. He found out. He found out. He's trying to get me killed. He's having like this breakdown once he has the gun in front of him, which is so intense. I was like crying almost at the end. It was like, you know, like in the Deer Hunter, kind of like that. That's kind of what it got me like. I was like, oh my god, super scary, man. Super scary. And you just see like his brain messing with him. Talking about brain messing with him, let's go back to Tony Soprano. The fact that he was hallucinating Isabella, that's intense, man. That was super intense. But I won't even go there because I know this video is already way too long. But we'll move on to season 2. Actually, let me check my notes. Okay, I want to talk about the episode Boca, which in Spanish translates to mouth, which is why it's funny because that's the episode where it gets around that Uncle Junior gives oral to his girlfriend. And then what's also great about that one is that it's called Boca with the whole mouth thing, right? But they're going to Boca Raton. And then raton, if you say that in Spanish, it means rat. So his girlfriend is kind of a rat too because she's running her mouth. Yes? Yes, let's keep going. The one with Coach Hauser. I love the end of that episode when Tony gets drunk because he's thought about everything. He's had Dr. Melfi tell him shit. He's had Artie tell him stuff. He's had these different perspectives being brought to him so he can really look at the big picture. And he realized that if he got rid of the coach, then some woman wouldn't have her husband. Some kid wouldn't have, you know, her dad. Meadows' friend is this dude's daughter. Like, it's too much, too many connections. So he thinks that it should be, you know, at the end, it's more effective to just leave it in the hands of the law. What about Massive Genius? Massive Genius, I don't know how I feel about that guy. I didn't like him from the beginning. I kind of had a weird vibe about him, but good for him going to court against Hesh. If he wants to do it, he's going to have to do it right, which is funny because we just talked about how Tony had to do things right with Coach Hauser. So that's a little crossover, I guess. Or what about when we start thinking that Pussy is an FBI informant and then he disappears? So let's look at it as like Pussy is there and he's like, dude, everyone's acting weird around me, you know. Polly wants me to take my shirt off and go to the sauna. Well, it's not a sauna. What is it? Like a Turkish bath? I don't know. I'll probably put it here. Whatever it is. And then he says that he can't because of his doctor. He's making excuses for everything, so it seems kind of sketchy from their point of view. And then when Jimmy Altieri comes out of the jail, right? When they let him go, and he goes and like he's so like doesn't even try to hide it. He's like, "Hey Tony, so whatever happened, blah 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 blah," and I'm just like, okay, well, just at that point, just fucking wear a mask of a rat, right? Just put it on your shirt. I'm the rat. I'm the FBI informant. Okay, and then And then just a couple little random things. Have you guys seen Christopher Moltisanti's fish tank? And it has a little car in there. And it just like totally reminds me of like Sleeping with the Fishes, which I think is so great. And I'm sure that's why they did it. And then also, um, you know, when they say gumas, the gumas, they're like the mistresses, right? So whenever I heard that word, I just imagined a Goomba from uh, from Super Mario. So then I looked that up, and it turns out, because Mario is supposed to be Italian, right? And then it turns out that the word Goomba is also like an Italian slang word or whatever for like a homie. So isn't that crazy? That's like a little weird connection at the end that I just wanted to share. Anyway, I gotta go now. Toodaloo. Actually, you know what else? Now, I totally forgot to talk about one other thing, and that was about when Tony hears Uncle Junior and his mom talking about how something should be done about him in front of the FBI agents. Like, one of the FBI agents, like, even looks down. Like, he's so, like, it's like a low blow to fucking show that to him. But at the same time, that's the fucking FBI's game, man. That's a whole different perspective. They're trying to take the fucking mob down, So they're like, fuck it, it's dirty. This is some fucked up shit, but we're gonna use it. And it is some fucked up shit, bro. Haven't you seen that meme? You know that meme where it says, like, oh, when you hear your mom talk shit about you or complain about you or whatever. Let me see if I can find it. But anyway, that was heartbreaking. Beautifully acted out. I was gonna cry. I know Tony was gonna cry too, but I was gonna cry. I was like, Tony, it's okay. I understand, man. That's fucked up.